Hello, everyone. I'm Ozzy Jones, and welcome to the Onyx Clinic. We are a learning and sharing space, offering valuable education and evidence-based methods to help you effectively navigate the healthcare system. Our goal is to empower you to advocate confidently for yourself and your loved ones. Today, the Onyx Clinic would like to welcome Deja Forde-Dixon. Deja is the owner of Empowered by Speech and Language SLP Inc., located in Toronto, Ontario. She is an SLP by trade who brings 3 years of clinical experience with an emphasis in pediatric assessment and intervention. Deja, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited for you to share this space with me. And yeah, thank you so much.
Awesome, awesome. We're going to get right into it, Deja. Can you begin by introducing yourself a little bit to our viewers? Tell us a little bit about yourself and your work.
Okay, yeah, okay. My name is Deja Forde-Dixon. I am the owner of Empowered by Speech and Language SLP Inc. I have been working for about 3 years as an SLP, and I went to school, both did my undergrad and master's at the University of Toronto, where I kind of, you know, had a feeling, I think, with my graduating class that my graduating class was representative of the field in the sense that there weren't many people that looked like me. So I think that's what kind of made me want to go, I guess, a little bit harder in the field of speech language pathology. And I mean that in the sense that I wanted to do as well as I could so that I could be the person that could represent people that look like me, right? Um, so a little bit about myself. Besides being a speech language pathologist, I have a very active lifestyle. I like to go to the gym a lot. I feel like the gym and working out is really good for your, personal self-care. And I feel like in in this field specifically, I always need to prioritize my self-care or else I will spiral. So I love keeping an active lifestyle. I have a dog, a puppy, who's about a year right now. His name is Onyx, actually, which is really funny. He's an all black dog, so I was like, Onyx is the perfect name. Um, and yeah, that's a bit about me. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. And can you tell us a little bit about Empowered by Speech and Language SLP?
Yeah, so I started Empowered by Speech and Language, SLP Inc., in 2022, September, just because I started working in the public sector as my first job. And I noticed that a lot of the families that were minorities really appreciated my service with them. And they would always tell me, like, this is the first time I feel seen. This is the first time I feel like someone is actually listening to me.
Okay.
Um, and I was like, wow, like I would love to be doing this more often
Mhm.
than not. So I started my own private practice, which I would say primarily prioritizes people of color,
Okay.
just because I want people of color to feel comfortable in sharing their journey with me. I want people of color to feel comfortable, um, having their kids, have a SLP that kind of looks like them. And yeah, that's kind of why I started Empowered by Speech and Language.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, no
And I certainly can share that that resonates as well with me and my experience. So it's always good to hear from our families and, the children that we serve, what that our services are making a difference and that our presence is making a difference. So thank you,
exactly.
Deja,
Yeah,
for that.
no problem.
I'm going to ask if you can share an achievement in your journey as a Black
Mhm.
pathologist and highlight any challenges or specific racial issues or concerns that you overcame.
I would say, specifically as a Black speech language pathologist, but also as a new clinician.
Right. Right.
I'm a new
Certainly.
clinician and I'm a Black speech language pathologist. So I feel like there's like an intersection with that. And there's a whole, level of challenges that come with both of those identities. So I think initially when I first started, I was having a lot of trouble kind of like sticking up for myself and sticking up for clients as well. Like I would have my managers ask me, why did you do this treatment in this sort of way? Or why was the assessment done in this particular way? And I think initially I would kind of, shy away from like racial conversations with my managers or with anyone in the field because I wasn't really comfortable talking about it or I wasn't really comfortable you know making a stand in that kind of way. But I think as I kind of grew in my profession or in my journey as a speech language pathologist, I realized that it was almost a necessity to do that. Like I had to, not only for the clients that I serve but for myself, because I would see and I would recognize that when I didn't stand up, I would feel terrible about myself and it would haunt me almost. So,
Mm.
I think it's definitely something that comes with like growing and like of age, I guess, too. But also being a new clinician and being a Black clinician in a space that you don't see Black clinicians,
Right.
it was a hard transition for me to make because I didn't have the support. So I didn't
Okay.
know how to navigate that space. And two, I felt really uncomfortable trying to do that on my own. But I realized how it was making me feel and I knew I had to do something different. So I think that was the biggest challenge for me was kind of emphasizing the importance of why I'm doing a certain intervention a certain way or I'm assessing a child a certain way related to their racialized background to
Right.
my managers or anyone else in the field.
Right.
Yeah.
And you touch on some really, really important and key points. Deja, when you touch on the ideas around our advocacy
Mhm.
and raising awareness for those who are not part of the community or the culture, who might not be able to pick up on some of the nuances, some of the concerns
Mhm.
expressed by family members, even some of just the dialectal variations and
Yeah.
the intricacies around how things are said and why things might be conveyed a way that they are. Um,
Mhm.
and so, yeah, you touch on some really crucial points when we're dealing
Mhm.
with cultural difference, right? And the diversity issue, and that we can not only be advocates for our clients and for ourselves, but also that we can sort of be allies in bringing those along with us, in our profession to understand and know, that there's differences here. There's a nuance here, right? And that it
Mhm.
helps to build trust with our clients and it helps to
Yeah.
build that sort of solidarity towards the betterment of communication for our children and the families that we're working with. So
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
yeah, touching on that, it's really that's very important. And so I'm
Mhm.
going to move to the next question. So
Yeah,
when
for
you
sure.
reflect on some of the experiences that you're sharing, what advice can you give? Because I mean, you took a step, like you've touched on it. You said, you're a newer clinician. You've got three
Mhm.
years of experience, which is fantastic. And you've made this decision, right? You've made this decision
Mhm.
to have your own private practice. And so what advice can you offer to aspiring Black individuals, whether they're pursuing a career in speech, language pathology, or audiology? Emphasizing the resilience and the perseverance piece, right, in the face of potential racial obstacles.
I think it would be like I would say I'm giving advice kind of like to my older self or my previous self. And I would say like listen to your gut instinct because it's usually right. And what I mean by that is deep down, I knew what I wanted to say to like my manager or someone else that was questioning the way I was providing intervention or assessment
Right.
that was within the field. I knew what I wanted to say. I was just kind of hesitant to do it,
Right.
um, to actually say something. So I think if I had listened and like really honed in on what I was actually feeling and you know, uh, like really listening to my intuition, that it would have kind of brought me to this point a lot quicker than,
Mm.
you know, me taking really long to kind of like step up for myself and for the clients that I serve. So I would say to anyone that's aspiring to be a speech language pathologist, or that is currently a speech language pathologist and kind of wants to take that step in really advocating for the people that they serve, to listen to your intuition and know that like what you're doing matters
Right.
and what you're saying actually matters. Because I feel like for a lot of colored clinicians, not only Black clinicians, but colored clinicians, it's almost like does it even really matter? Like if I say something, will they even listen to me? Like, does it
Mm.
actually matter?
Okay.
So I think knowing that yes, it does matter is a big factor in like your career and in providing that type of support to families and to yourself as well.
Right.
Um, for clinicians that are trying to join the field within speech language pathology, because I know it's a very competitive field,
Mhm.
especially for students that are applying to like their masters or
Yeah.
anything like that. I would say be persistent. You
Mm.
might not get in the first time. You might not get in the second time, but keep trying because we need clinicians like you in our field
Right.
100%. And I would say also a very specific piece of advice is when you're writing your statement of intent, highlight the fact that you are a Black speech or a Black student that's looking into the to become a speech language pathologist, and what you plan on doing with that platform, like what you plan on doing as a Black speech language pathologist. So I would say that for aspiring students, for speech language pathologists that are already in the field looking to take that next step, that's kind of my piece of advice.
Thank you. Thank you for giving some really tangible advice as well, right? I mean, you were able to reflect
Mhm.
on your own experience and then give some really tangible guidance for students, for those who might be looking to get into the profession. And I certainly agree with you in terms of the fact that we can increase our numbers in diversity across our profession. And that
Mhm.
adds to the profession, of course, right? It adds to all of us as
Mhm.
we learn and grow from one another. So thank you for that. So Deja, is there a specific initiative or a project within your clinic that not only provides quality speech services, but also contributes to the broader narrative of Black excellence and empowerment within healthcare? Anything you'd like to highlight or share with us?
So currently right now, I don't have anything, but I am looking into, maybe I can ask you about it too after our our interview. But I've been, because I've had a lot of families reach out to me for services that can't necessarily afford
Okay.
the services that we provide. Maybe the price, or private speech therapy is expensive, like let's just
Right.
say that. It's very expensive
Mhm.
for some families, and I've been looking into ways that I could make the prices a little bit more affordable, because I know specifically within the Black community as well, there's a lot of people that may not be in, have a socioeconomic status that is similar to other people
Right.
or other racialized groups. So, I want to provide the support to. I don't think your SCS, your socioeconomic status, should be a factor in receiving service,
Right.
right? So, and unfortunately, with how private speech therapy works, it is.
Yes. Yes.
Right? And
In
the type
public,
of
but if we jump in with public, which you don't need that, right? Like, I mean, the wait lists are quite long, and so there is there are the nuances
exactly.
there. And then, and if you're looking for specifically a racialized SLP,
Yeah,
then it makes it a little bit more of a difficult dynamic as well. Mhm.
exactly. And I feel like a lot of racialized people that are looking for these services have to, unfortunately, well, I wouldn't say unfortunately. Well, yes, I say unfortunately, would have to kind of stick with public service, which
Okay.
isn't always the best.
Okay.
Um, and with how the public type of, I work in PSL as well.
Okay.
So with the type of public service, like what they're transitioning to right now,
Okay.
I think hinders people of color accessing these services even more
Okay.
than it has been in the past.
Okay.
So I think families that belong to a lower SES or families that um, may not know the system as well, um, are unfortunately going to be left uh, without service. And that really like bothers me.
Hmm.
Um, so, I want to, I guess, create something that maybe provide some sort of uh, assistance to families that maybe can't afford the type of private services that they're looking for, just so that service is accessible to them.
Yeah.
um, and yeah, I'm hoping to do that in the near future, but I don't really know how I can go about doing that with also providing equitable service. So um, yeah,
But
I
let's
guess
chat
that would.
offline. I have ideas as well. So let's
Oh, you
chat.
do? Okay,
Right.
perfect. Yeah,
Let's
yeah, that'll be great.
for bringing that up. I agree. And it's something that we do have to be thinking about because it's the reality, right?
Yeah.
You're highlighting a very, very real, issue. And so it's, how do you come together in a
Mhm.
unified way to create different avenues and opportunities, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for bringing that forward. Thank you.
Okay, no
Um,
problem.
So what's next for you, Deja? Any news or exciting aspirations? Anything that you'd like to be able to communicate in this space about Empowered by Speech and Language SLP Inc.?
Well, I recently actually hired two people, two
Congratulations.
SLPAs.
Oh,
Yeah, two
congratulations.
SLPAs. Yeah, thank you. Just because I have been getting a lot of inquiries into providing service for little kids. So, and I'm not able to provide that much service just because I do my company or the time that I have allotted to my company is more of a part-time basis. So I needed an extra support, extra help. So I hired two people, which I'm very excited about that. So I am expanding, I guess. So that's nice. Anything else? Well, I would say that my specific interests are kind of like the preschool age,
Yes.
um, GLP kind of learners, so gestalt language processors. And I'm specifically interested in Black gestalt language processors and how I guess they are perceived by the social institutions that they're a part of. So whether they're at school, how that kind of like how teachers would perceive them, if
Yeah.
that makes sense, or how the staff at school may perceive them. And I'm assuming that it would be very different than other groups.
Yes.
Um, like, is it more, would they think that they're more of a, is there more behavioral concern or that they're just not listening just because gestalt language processing is a very, in terms of understanding what they're saying, it may be difficult for the person that is talking to them.
Right.
So I'm wondering how the staff at school or how institutions that they're a part of perceive them.
I'm
Um,
smiling because I hear research, kind of brewing there, and that
oh, I,
some
I don't
research
know.
questions brewing, but you're
Yeah.
right. These are very, very accurate questions. And when we look at, how Black bodies might be handled through the education system, when we throw on implicit bias and systemic racism, these are real
Yeah,
issues and concerns. And just alt language is also going to complicate that. It's another
exactly. It's
layer,
another layer.
um,
Yeah,
another
exactly.
layer. And so when you
Yeah.
consider, the work that you're speaking about, the impact is huge, right? That it can have
Mhm.
on children and their families.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a
exactly.
fantastic vision. And it's
Yeah.
connections. And hopefully, this interview can help with making some of those connections.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I would love to be in the process of supporting families like navigate that.
Hmm.
So yeah, I guess that's all I can think of right now.
And that's a lot. And it's fantastic. Thank
Yeah,
you
thank
so much.
you.
Thank you so much, Deja. We've actually come to the end. That's
Okay,
that's the end of our interview. And
perfect.
I just want to say thank you so much, Deja, for your commitment, your personal commitment and passion to children and families. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
thank
work that you're
you.
leading out and Empowered by Speech and Language SLP Inc. is certainly commendable. The work that you've
Mhm.
taken on, with 3 years under your belt is fantastic and to be applauded. And so I
Thank
want to applaud
you.
that. Thank you for sharing your thoughtful considerations today with us. Thank you for sharing it with all of our viewers, others in the profession, and who might be looking to start their practice as well.
Mhm,
Hoping that
mhm.
other racialized clinicians do feel empowered to do
Yeah,
that.
that's a nice play on words.
Um, yes, 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 and thank you again so much for sharing your experiences with us.
Yeah,
So
thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. I think what you're doing is amazing, and I'm so excited to see the interview and see who else is involved. I'm so excited.
awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, that's all for this episode. Thank you for joining us at the Onyx Clinic. You can find us online at theonyxclinic.com or follow us on the gram and look out for future interviews on our YouTube channel. Until next time, take good care.